Previously on Irving Renquist.
I'm the only curator at the Historical Society that acknowledges the existence of strange occurrences in Cuba Township. I have a friend in the police department who sometimes lets people into the cemetery after dark.
I would like to investigate the White Cemetery.
What kind of campaign are we mounting here?
An audio recorder, maybe a camera or two, nothing major.
Yesterday, when I went to talk to Dorothy Atwood at the Historical Society, I asked her to check on the name Alex Mackey. She said Clay and Annette Mackey lived down the street from the Parkers with their son, Alex.
You guys look like pretty good friends. Do you remember him at all?
I remember a moving truck.
Really?
Yeah, a red one.
His father and your mother.
This is Irving Renquist, episode 7,
Yes.
Poltergeist. I'm David B. GRELCK, the writer. I have Steve COULTER here live via telephone from L.A., from rainy L.A. So, Steve, how you doing?
Everybody, how you doing? So I might actually be a couple seconds behind you on my end here. But this episode comes off to a really fun start here with Lonnie kind of bursting through the door and grabbing Irving, bringing him in here. This episode is, unlike episode 6, takes a very dark twist. But I really wanted to have fun with this, kind of fast, humorous scene that David put together in the beginning here. Anything with Lonnie is just hilarious. So. Really wanted to keep this first scene like as fast, as fun, as possible. And we were doing this, doing all these takes over and over again, to get the pickups, even faster with all the different cues. And, after starting off with a good laugh here, we really had a challenging episode to deal with, just as far as the material that the actors were doing, and also some special effects which come in there, which I'm sure Dave and Mike will give you guys more detail about how we put those together when we come to it.
This is the most effects-heavy episode.
The part about doing all of these visual effects that come up in this episode is that we did it all very old-fashioned. All of these kind of moving glasses and falling picture frames, those were all done by basically just a series of strings and someone off camera, pulling these strings to kind of manipulate the object. So we were playing puppets with all of these physical objects and everything. So I know we can credit Leslie Strong as one of our poltergeists in this episode, just to give you a flavor of what's to come. Another interesting thing, kind of technically, that we were doing with this episode, you'll notice kind of a big difference in the color between this episode and the other ones. We really wanted to give this particular episode a darker look, which was something fun to do. At one point, I actually suggested that it should be in black and white and started editing it that way. Dave wasn't too much a fan of it, and it makes sense. I think in the end it totally makes sense for it to be in color like the rest of the episode, but I guess I was, totally getting into the horror of this episode. You'll notice too that all the photography that Mike does throughout this episode is a lot more still. We were always putting the camera on sticks instead of the handheld, constantly moving type of camera work that we were doing on most of the other episodes. That was, because we were dealing with these visual effects and stuff in the Poltergeist later on, we just kind of really wanted to make this episode stand out and kind of play up that kind of freaky, the freaky horror film type of look. And I don't know. I think Mike did a good job of that with the still camera shots. That it is also, gives everything that we do technically here kind of a more, everything seems more purposeful, I think, too, when you are able to put something on sticks, people are looking for, okay, what's gonna, when's something gonna kind of, pop in the screen here. My last statement did not make any sense at all.
Steve,
you guys have any thoughts?
we did shoot this episode in Muppet Vision 3D, but we decided not to actually release it in that. This is the first episode with this is the first scene with special effects, and there are some really simple effects, like the picture that's going to fall in the background, but then there's that which we were trying to break the vase the whole time, and we even put a railroad spike on the table to yank it against the railroad spike, and it just would not break for us, and so we ultimately had to settle on it just falling over, which is still an impressive, simple special effect.
It was disappointing though, because I think we must have done like 50 takes of maybe not 50, but we did a heck of a lot of takes just trying to get this stupid glass to fall over and break.
And Leslie and I tried to
fall over. We just like move a little bit.
Leslie and I tried to pre-break it one time, and it shattered so easily. And then as soon as we get it back up on the table, it's like we can't break it to save our lives.
I also always love that moment when there's the banging at the door, and Mike just takes the camera and does that really quick turn over to the door, just to kind of end that shot there. I've always really enjoyed that.
This here's the cameo by Steve. You're here in cameo form. Is it this scene? I don't remember.
No, I don't think
you did some very unique things to edit that the return of the B storyline back into this. I think the color, the desaturation thing works so tremendously for this episode. I think black and white would have been too much of a jolt to the audience, which is why I had the major disagreement about it. But this desaturation, it instantly tells you you're seeing something different. Here's another big special effect episode, and actually there's a huge gap in the table that we can't see, which is the nice thing about this scene, where the salt shaker is going to do a little walking, and I got to play the Poltergeist for this scene. It was great. Steve, do you think we gave it away by calling the episode Poltergeist and having that be the big reveal? I mean, we did call the episode Poltergeist, and then we made it a Poltergeist.
Well, but I think the thing that that is slightly unexpected in the episode is that this is the first moment where we're kind of playing with these special effects and stuff, which are going to be used in the later episodes. But this is one of those first. I feel like this is one of those first scenes here with the moving salt shaker. We really get to see some of what these spirits and these ghosts can do in action.
When I love how something as simple as having Dottie drink out of the mug that we are later going to play with on Fishing Line makes it legitimate. You buy that it's just a mug because she uses it. If it was just sitting there and then suddenly it started moving, that'd be a different story. Also, I'm wondering now that I'm watching it, as cool as an effect as the glasses on the table breaking are, how much wine was Dottie drinking because her father is out of town? She's got several wine glasses back there.
A couple little moments I love here within the scene. One is, and I'm not sure if I can be able to mention these moments at the same time that they happen, because I think I'm either a little bit behind on the video now or a little bit ahead on my end here. But one is when Irving, kind of mid-scene here, just takes his arm and grabs the salt shaker off the table because it's freaking everybody out to calm the situation. And the other is when Dottie stands up later and you see her coffee mug just kind of hanging, sort of half tipped over when she stands up to yell at them. And without falling off the ground, just kind of slightly levitating there. Those were actually two of my favorite little moments dealing with these special effects here. I think it's a particularly nifty little trick when we're able to manipulate an object and then have a character grab the object and take it out of the scene.
Poltergeist is not an independent entity. It's a product of
As
Carol
opposed
Ann's
to,
subconscious given a
we
spiritual
can't grab this object because it's obviously attached to strings and we're using it for this effect, so don't mess that up.
It shows up only when you're pissed off.
When there's Dottie's slamming of the cup back down, they're both. Everyone in this scene is so blasé about the effects going on, and I think that is what sells it to the audience. Is they're so invested in this story at this point. The characters are so invested in this poltergeist idea that they're not even impressed by the salt shaker moving or the mug doing that. They just accept it and move on because there are more important things to deal with.
Yeah. And it was actually the scene, shooting the scene was actually, it got to be a rather stressful scene to shoot just because we have this, we have this scene of growing intensity and dialogue, going between these characters, and we're doing these, we have these effects that we're trying to do at the same time and manipulate these things. So when we're trying to accomplish both things at once, there's a lot for people to be paying attention to. There's a lot to, distract the actors as they have to remain focused on this scene. And the way we did that scene, actually, it wasn't in, a series of different cuts. We actually shot that whole dialogue scene the whole way through and then just filmed with multiple camera angles, until we came to one take or two that we could cut in between. But the actors were going through this entire scene, and and Leslie and Dave with the manipulating the objects, they were doing that at the same time, kind of live as we're doing the scene. So if anybody makes a little mistake and we have to go back, we have to remember, okay, where was the salt shaker? Where was the mug? Was it levitating? Was it not? There was a lot that we had to keep our eyes on at once, which became a little bit stressful, but I think the team did a good job of it.
Look, a package came for you today.
Cool.
You're not gonna come home. Just change your goddamn address.
Is there a preview for Mark Averson's Dorm Life in between here on your copy? Or
Yes,
is
there
it
is.
online?
It's not going to be on the DVD though.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, anyway, though, if you're watching this DVD and you haven't seen Dorm Life, you should check out dormlife.com. It's really funny.
So it's not just Pat that's a whore, clearly. Okay, we had to lose Steve Coulter there because of pressing food engagement, but I do have Mike Noens and Pat Pantelis here to finish out the episode with me.
Yeah.
So, Mike, why don't you talk a little bit about shooting this episode and the unique challenges that it brought?
Well, yeah, I mean, it was something that Steve had come up to me about. I know he was talking about a little earlier. He had talked about doing something very, very different with this episode because it was so different in tone, and the thing that we were talking about, I believe, was actually Chinese horror. And he had talked to me about a couple of different films that I can't even remember because actually I found out in the past half hour that we actually didn't shoot this in 2007. We shot this in 2006, I believe. So actually it's older, and it's 2009.
We did shoot this in 2006.
So
Returns was out.
Exactly. That's how Pat knows. Superman
Very
Returns.
nice, Pat.
Well, you noticed that you went to go see Clerks 2, so you guys base it around the movies that you go see. But anyway,
Based around the good movies. Like this.
But yeah, I mean, Steve was very, very, in general, like throughout the majority of the series, we were moving at a very fast pace. And during this episode, he had sat down with both me and Morgan and very purposefully wanted to go at a slower pace because he wanted to spend a little bit more time making the lighting different than the rest. He wanted harsher lighting, and the angles. Obviously, if I'm doing it handheld, I'm a little bit more mobile. But with shooting it on sticks, we needed more time. and in order to get it a certain way. But we really didn't want any movement in the very beginning. We talked about not moving the camera at all, and literally every shot being entirely, entirely still. And then, it was that scene in the bedroom when Steve even remarked with the movement towards the door. That was something that Steve had said, I want to move towards the door. I know we're breaking everything that we already said that we were going to do, or we're going to do it again. We're going to do it again in the hallway. We're going to make some sort of movement, and so we'll make that the big thing. So, and then I think at the very end, we move back into that kind of handheld movement. But anyway, so that was really kind of the story behind, I guess, the bizarrely different cinematography.
Well, this is the dramatic episode that changes. It's a game changer episode. We always talked about as we were making this series that we have these game changing moments. We thought the big reveal was the Poltergeist, then we thought the big reveal was the father's relationship with Alex's mother. Then we thought the big reveal was this. Then we thought the big reveal was this. And so it ultimately just it's one of those things where things keep evolving, and we learn more and more and more until finally at the end when we get the whole picture, and it's just like, oh wow, okay, I didn't realize that was what was going on here. And there's a lot of darkness in this episode, and there wasn't a lot of darkness in the other episodes. It was well-lit suburban houses, which is, that's where they are, in a well-lit suburban house. But now we see the darkness in it, and we also see Dottie becoming a very different character than she was for the first 6 episodes of the series.
Little ghost in the playground next door. You had the nerve to tell me I was crazy?
I was trying to protect you.
I can't breathe.
Dottie, come back.
Stay away from me.
I didn't see it coming.
Bam! She goes out. Yeah,
that's the quick whip back there.
Yeah. Well, this is the big thing that Steve was talking about. I was talking about earlier, and and this was something that we had gone over in great detail about how we wanted to shoot this. Initially, I don't believe we were going to have the zoom out, and that was something that was added later, actually, as we were shooting it. Steve and I had a little bit of a meeting, and we talked specifically about the kind of lighting that we wanted, how it was going to be this really harsh light just on her face, almost very theatrical, and then, we just had to blast light coming out of the other room to get that abundance of light, and then, put an effect on it later. But this is, I think, in the entire series, I think this is that scene just there was probably my favorite to shoot.
That was
just so much fun.
And we trashed the hallway.
We got
to sit around trashing that hallway.
My mother, that was in my mother's house, and I remember she went up there and she was like, "Oh my God, where's the camera?" She wanted to take pictures. She thought it was fantastic. She's like, "This is going to be returned to the way it was, right? This isn't like you're just going to all leave and go to Wendy's afterwards, right?"
And here's the big reveal of the B storyline. We're continuing with the episode 3 story and the mystery of the records and all that. And this is something that's very exciting to me because it's a whole other story that when I first talked to Mike about expanding the novel into this series, it's like, well, can we address these little things too? Because it's a unique idea, and I like the idea of just hinting at this other storyline that we really don't deal with very much at all in the series.
Something is wrong, Irving. With the whole thing.
Well, we knew that.
More than we thought.
I don't know what...
We didn't even know her.
I don't know what you want me to do. Jules...
This was a pretty scary episode, too, and we hadn't had a scary episode. We dealt with a lot of things humorously.
Yeah, I think the last real scary moment in the series was, I think just it worked really well, especially when we were able to show it to a crowd, was episode 3 with that chilling note.
Yes.
He's cut out my eyes, now I can see, and now, she points it out.
You
in
just hear the
scene.
collective gasp.
Yeah,
when
it
you're sitting
was
with-
great. And, like, you could almost hear the chill that went down everybody's spine in the room. It was very, very cool to
And
see that
it's
turn
one of
out
those
that way.
things where it's the stuff that we're not quite sure what it means, and there's a lot of that in this series. It's like that's what's so great about working with. These are not professional ghost hunters. They don't know what they're doing. So when they discover something that's scary, it scares them as well. And because it's scaring them, it scares us more. Because we see these two people who seem to have it together and seem to know what they're doing. And then something like this comes up, or Dottie is the poltergeist comes up, and they don't even know how to deal with it. So how are we supposed to deal with it as an audience? And that's one of my favorite things. Hey, I got to direct this scene. This is at Paradise Cove. This is shot concurrently with the beginning of episode 8, which was my first episode.
So yeah, since we were shooting episode 8, a portion of episode 8 in this hotel, Dave came in and edited half of this phone call conversation.
Mackie killed my mom.
I was not at this location, but I heard it was quite creepy.
Oh, you were lucky. You were not at this location. It was hot. It was
There was a spider.
humid. There were spiders everywhere.
Oh, and we totally talk about it
yes.
in the next commentary.
Enjoy.
Oh yes, right, wrong. What was that?
It's just another version of a disease. Another way to show that there is nothing but another mask underneath. A fraud design of twisted lies and teary eyes. I'm a disguise of myself, and it's the only thing I'll wear until I die. Don't mind the smile I've worn it for so long. It's meaningless. All this sun and joy